You mentioned that you could maybe sell off the Department of Liquor Control and maybe even get $1 billion or more from that. I know Director D. Goodman will be in charge of the area that's over liquor control. Can you elaborate on what exactly you'd be selling off, how that operates, and where?
Yeah, sure. You know, listen, I didn't say we were doing it. I said we were looking at it, and we've been presented with a plan. In fact, we got the plan yesterday. It was discussed last night at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame up in Cleveland with Wayne Struble. David obviously would be involved in this, but this is not going to be David's area. This is going to be Tim Keene, Wayne Struble. David will be at the table. But if in fact we can modernize that operation, and there's, you know, $600–700 million of bonds that have to be retired, but if we could net out those kind of dollars and make the system work better and make it easier for Ohioans, you know, then we would do it. But again, you know, this is all speculative because, let me explain to you. People that give you these proposals, they're all hepped up. And, you know, they called me and said, oh, we could get $1.5 billion. You could have $1.5 billion if you do this. I said, oh, so we'd get $1 billion. He said, no. I said $1.5 billion. I said, well, I don't believe you. I'm cutting it by $500,000 because, or $500 million because I don't believe it. There's always a hyper, you know, sort of, you know what it's like. You and I are going to go run the marathon, right? And I say, I'm going to run it in 8 minutes, and you say, oh, I'm going to run it in 7, and we both know we're nuts. So the bottom line is you look at these things carefully because they are precious assets and you don't fritter them away. The other thing is if in fact you were able to sell or lease these things, and you know, the turnpike would involve leasing, liquor might involve selling. There's even a possibility of some things in the area of prisons. I only talk about this because I want y'all to understand we're looking at everything. But if it doesn't work out, either because it's not the right time or because it's not the right number, we'll pull the plug on it. We'll pull the plug on it. The other thing, though, that we have to figure out how you do a stream of revenue. Because if you were to get, say you were to get, you know, $1 billion for liquor, somebody might say, well, just put it all in the budget now and cover the hole. Well, I mean, no, that doesn't work. I mean, could we use some of it? Yeah, that would be reasonable. Would we use it all? Absolutely not. One of the things that I learned in Washington when we balanced the budget is that we changed the numbers, but we didn't change the culture. In this state, changing the numbers doesn't get it done in and of itself without changing the culture. So there is absolute restructuring that must be done in the state. But let me just say to you, isn't it amazing that we're talking about, in simple, nobody's like hyperventilating yet. I'm sure that will start when we put it on a piece of paper. But how is it that no one has really ever seriously looked at these things? You know, it shows that there has not been sort of the forward-looking thinking that we need to have here in the state of Ohio. But it's a great question. Thank you. And the first question you asked yesterday was also a great question about the clawback of that money. This is a very serious thing. So you're asking a lot of good questions, if I could be so bold, although I'm not supposed to stand in judgment of anybody except for maybe Niquette. I call him, just so you wonder why I call him Niquette, because when I first came to the state senate back in 1979, Oliver Kasich, God bless him, God rest his soul, used to call Mary Jean Valaquette, for the old timers around here, Mary Jean Valaquette. And so I've now pinned that on Niquette. Another